Hey everybody, you're listening to another edition of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show. My name is Ralph Graves. If you are listening on Spotify podcasts or whatever podcast you got it going on, thank you. If you're watching on YouTube Live, thank you. If somebody shared this with you and you're checking it out, thank you. Hey, if you like what you hear today, I want you to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast channel, and let's just keep these conversations like this going. My name is Ralph Graves Jr. I authored a book called Unstoppable, and this is kind of like what my podcast is all about. I'm talking to some unstoppable people, hopefully to get you guys motivated and stay motivated in what you're doing. So today, I have on the program today my friend Clyde Hughes. Now, you may not know who he is, but I'm telling you who he is. He is the editor-in-chief. He is the CEO. He is the creating force behind Frontrunner New Jersey magazine, newspaper, video. What platform?
Well, we cover it all. I call it our local digital Black newspaper that covers all of South Jersey, leadership and culture in South Jersey.
That's right.
And we're the only ones that do it on a daily basis. We're writing stuff and telling stories about us as African Americans in what we're doing in South Jersey. So we're trying to get the word out. Good news, trying to get good news out about us.
Well, I enjoy reading it, man. I enjoy what you guys are doing. You do a phenomenal job, man. And even though it's geared to South Jersey, it can be read globally.
Yes.
This is a global program, and I know what you're doing is global as well. We're going to talk about how they can find it. How can they subscribe to it? But I want to talk about Clyde Hughes. I want to talk about your journey. I want to talk about, because there's somebody out there that has a desire to do what you're doing. It may not be that, but they're on the cusp of I'm doing what I have to do, but I need to learn and to move into doing what I want to do. So we want to talk about your journey, man. Tell us about Clyde.
Well, and I see it this way. I grew up a poor Black kid in Beaumont, Texas. Texas. I'm still Black.
Wow.
I had to overcome a lot of things to get to this point. So even right now, as I'm sitting here, I'm blessed.
Yeah,
I'm blessed. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do since I was in the 6th grade. I wanted to be a journalist.
Wow.
My parents still don't know where it came from.
Wow.
So God has blessed me to be a journalist and to tell other people's stories and to get the truth out. And I see. That's my mission, is to be able to get the truth out. So I feel like that I'm blessed with everything I had to overcome. I've lived a blessed life. So it is good, and I keep just pushing forward.
Tell us about your journey as a journalist, man. Where, I know you were at some bigger places, and so kind of tell the world that.
It's it's funny. Like I said, my parents still don't know where it came from. I don't have any journalists in my family or anything like that. But I just had the bug to become a journalist, and didn't have any role models in high school. Matter of fact, I remember this so clearly. In high school, we had a career day. I said, this is perfect. I'm going to go through career day, and I'm going to find myself the journalist that they brought in or someone in the media, and I'm going to hook up with them and learn what I have to do to become a journalist.
Sure.
They had like 50, 60 professionals, and not one of them was a journalist or
not
someone
one
in
of
communications. Not one of them. So, I went to college, Lamar University, and I joined the newspaper in my college my first semester. And like I said, I didn't have any training. I had one journalism class in high school. I was a fish out of water. And
Wow.
so I literally started at the bottom of the bottom.
Wow.
and by the time I finished college, I was managing editor of the school newspaper. I
Wow.
started working my first job at the Beaumont Enterprise. My senior year in college, I was still in college when I got my first newspaper job. So, that comes from being blessed and a lot of hard work.
So let me
And then
pause
from
right here.
there,
Let me interrupt. So you mean to tell me you didn't start at the top?
no, I started at the bottom of the
You know,
bottom.
so many people think that they are supposed to start at the top.
Yeah,
They really
and
do. And in every industry, not just journalism, but every industry. I pastor a church and I love hearing people telling me, hey, I've been called to the ministry. And I'm like, okay, good.
mhm.
Come out to Bible study. But that's not the top. I want to start at the top, No,
Yeah,
people start at the top.
they want to be pastor.
They want to be they want to preach their first sermon and be the pastor the next week. But that's in anything. When I was a police officer, guys get hired and we would hire guys and then they're telling me I'm a sergeant and they're trying to tell me what to do. But I think there's, and what I want people, what I'm saying to people is, and I hope they heard that as part of your story, is that yes, we are seeing the finished product. The Clyde Hughes, who we know and love, award-winning journalist, but didn't start that way. Started at the bottom.
Right.
Started the grind and had to grind everything.
I started at the bottom. I was doing, rewriting press releases and doing all the small things. And I had to realize what a blessing that was, because I learned a lot of the nuts and bolts, things that I use now in doing FrontrunnerNewJersey.com to make it the online publication that it is, because I learned all of those nuts and bolts. I couldn't skip a step at all.
Right. Yeah.
when I was climbing that ladder, but now looking back at it today, I'm blessed that it happened that way.
Yeah. There's no skipping steps. No skipping steps whatsoever. You have to go. You have to endure the journey. You've got to go through. And FrontrunnerNewJersey.com, for all those who are listening, go to it, check it out, see what he has going on. They do a phenomenal job of highlighting what's happening here in South Jersey. But have you thought about expanding it beyond South Jersey?
Yes, I have. And here's, I'm an old head newspaper reporter, and I've seen a lot of publications come and go. And one of the things that I've learned is that you finding your niche and sharpening your niche where you are. And then once you're prepared, because I've seen a lot of publications, a lot of people who do TV shows and things like that, and talk shows, and they start big, and all of the sudden they get overwhelmed easy, and I learned, once you sharpen your niche and do what you're good at, and sharpen that skill, and that gives you room to expand. My grand goal, yes, is definitely to expand. Just this past month, I started a column for the Latino community called Front Runner Latino.
Okay.
So we're covering the Latino community as well. I've been looking into Delaware, to expand it into Delaware and in North and Central Jersey. So I've been thinking along those lines the entire way, and that was part of the plan. But I knew I had to have that foundation. I had to make sure that I had that cornerstone in place.
Sure.
to take that next step. But yes, I think about that all the time. I'm always reevaluating where I am, what I'm doing, if I'm doing everything that I need to do to make sure that I am the best front runner NewJersey.com as possible, so I'm able to take that next step.
Sure. Let me talk about an obstacle you had to face, during this journey. I want to know about an obstacle you had to face, and how did that obstacle create a reward in your life, overcoming it? What was a lot of people think that obstacles come to destroy us, but the bottom line is they come to sharpen us, and really on the other side of it is some reward. Talk about that.
Oh, well, I tell you, the first obstacle right off the bat, and I think you're talking about life in general.
Life in general.
I grew up, life in general, I grew up as a stutterer.
Okay.
I couldn't get 2 or 3 words out of my mouth, without it taking 4 or 5 minutes. It was embarrassing.
Wow.
I was very shy. I wouldn't want to talk in front of anyone at all. And if I did, kids can be cruel. They don't know that they're being cruel. I don't hold it against them, but it was always funny to hear Clyde talk growing up.
Yeah.
But I had 2 advantages. I had parents who made our home a safe haven.
Yeah.
And they told my 3 brothers, you know what? If it takes 4 or 5 minutes for Clyde to get out a sentence, you better give him that 4 or 5 minutes for him to get out that sentence. And if you see anyone talking about him, you better be the first ones up to defend him.
Sure.
And that gave me that comfort zone to work through a lot of the issues. And, my parents are my heroes, because they could have destroyed me if they wanted to. Yeah. They took the very opposite approach, and I am here today because of them.
Wow.
And they were able to help me work through these issues and to give me the confidence. It wasn't so much the physical stuttering, but it can just crush your confidence if all people saw in you is that you're a stutterer, you're someone to laugh at. Yeah. That could be very demoralizing and could follow you through the rest of your life. Sure. But I'm sitting here because my parents told me, you're special, you're one of a kind, and you're going to make it in life. And that's why I'm here, because at 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, they pounded that confidence into me. Wow. Regardless of what else was going on.
Man, so, and I thank God they did, man. I got a chance to meet you, and and you just exude confidence. That's a phenomenal story, man. I never knew that about you. That's brand new.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But like I said, it's part of my life.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, it really does enter into every facet of my life. Sure. One of the things that people say about me is that you're hardly rattled. You hardly let things get you down. I said, the way I grew up, a poor kid in Beaumont, Texas, having people laugh at me at 1 or 2 years old, you're going to have to come strong to rattle me.
Yeah.
And get me angry about something. I mean, you're going to have to come up with something really good.
Wow. Man, Clyde, that's a fascinating story, man. And we're going to, next time we talk, we're going to dive into that, man, because so many people think that if they stutter, or I don't know, if they have some sort of other physical handicap, or maybe they can't read, or they think that is supposed to just hold them back. And yeah.
Oh, go ahead. And I can tell them from personal experience, and I like to talk to people like that, because I tell them from personal experience, don't hide from it, embrace it, build upon it, and use it as a springboard. Yeah. Because and again, I find it easy to motivate myself because of those past experiences. And that's what I try to tell people. Use it as a motivation, because I can tell you a lot of times when I was down in the dumps and didn't think something was going to work out, I was able to go back to my childhood to get motivated, to push myself forward, and to think about not only those hard times, but all those people who came through for me when I had those hard times, and how I knew I had to be there for those other people. So, it's all good. It's all a blessing.
Man, and that's a phenomenal story on strength, man. And we all face obstacles. We all face some ups and
Yes.
downs and trials and tribulations, man. But the fact that you know where to reach and where to go to get your power from.
Yes.
We all have superpowers. Oh,
We do.
this is not just a Marvel, DC comic book. We all have superpowers. This is just about going down and reaching it and to go get them. So tell me, man, so how can they register to receive Front Runner New Jersey or Front Runner Latino? Do they subscribe to it? What's the deal?
Yeah, all they have to do is go to the website, which is frontrunnernewjersey.com.
Okay.
And it's funny because when we first got started, it was hard to find because Google, Google search, you're just starting. It's hard to find. Now it comes right up when you do a Google search on frontrunnernewjersey.com.
Because you're doing a great thing. You put out some good stuff. Yeah.
I started with only like a few hits. If I got 100 hits in a day, I felt lucky, and now we're doing like 500, 600 hits a day. Sometimes 1,000. We're up to 23,000, 25,000 hits a month. So again, it's a blessing to be able.
And it didn't happen overnight.
To have grown to that point.
Yeah,
it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah,
I had to work at it. I had to, get out and talk to people and email people and talk to them about what we're doing. And it's amazing because you would figure in a place like South Jersey, in all of its history, with all of the African Americans making history, I was saying, well, I'm not sure if this niche is going to do good because I'm sure people have done this before. No. And when I started to do stories on people and I would research them, there weren't any stories done on them. I was like the first person that would do stories on a lot of these guys. And I was done. And that's when I knew for sure, okay, I got the right niche. This is a calling. I've been called to do a lot of these things because these are stories that just have to be told and no one else is doing it. So I feel blessed to be able to get into that niche and make a difference.
And you do a wonderful job. And, you did a couple stories on me, made me sound great. I was reading it. I didn't know. I said, does he talk about me still? So thank you for just being so.
You're a great subject, though. A pastor, they know your story. You have an incredible story to tell. So I feel blessed that you trusted me enough to tell your story.
Of course, man. Of course. You're my go-to guy, man. But, I just please continue to inspire, man. Continue to being the Clyde Hughes that I know. And thank you for sharing that story of overcoming, man. Like I said, that was powerful, man. And somebody has a child that has some struggles. And what you said about your parents is key. Your parents together gave you the confidence that you needed.
And it's funny because when I always had this feeling about the power of parents. Right. But I'll tell you what. Now I'll tell you a little story. I have a daughter. She's actually my stepdaughter. I've been in her life since she was 5. Okay. And a lot of the things that I learned from my parents, I instilled in her because I knew, I've got to be that father figure for her. She doesn't have a father figure. I got to be that father figure for her. And now she is an assistant U.S. attorney in Ohio.
Wow. Wow.
And now I'm not going to take credit for that.
Right.
because it was all on her. But I knew the power of having a mother and a father in the home,
Yeah.
the power of having those individuals to lean on. And now kids will never tell you about of the power of parenting until they become a parent as well.
Sure.
But kids look for that guidance. They look, even when you tell them no, kids learn from that, because if you tell them yes all the time, then they figure, well, you don't care. I can do whatever I want to.
Right.
So even when you tell them no, you're teaching them a valuable lesson, and you're having a tremendous impact in their lives.
Sure you are.
Parenting was and I tell people this all the time, parenting was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
Because it taught me to be, you have someone else's life in your hands, and that has got to be a priority, and you have to essentially treat it as your own. And it says a lot about you, when you're able to take on that responsibility. So I tell you what, I love being a parent.
men and women who raise children that aren't theirs biologically, there's a special place in heaven for you.
Thank you.
There really is. I got 3 kids of my own, and me and their mom, they are children. One wife, one set of children, and if they weren't mine, there were times I said to myself, and I said to my wife, they only here because they mine, But no, they grew up to be great adults. But you're right, man. It's something about that foundation of even if you're joint parenting or blended families, it's more about that structure. So man, again, I salute you on doing that, man. I salute you.
And it's funny because I don't know how else I would have raised her if I didn't raise her as my own. I don't know how that would have been any differently. If she was my birth child or not. I don't see how I would have treated her any differently or raised her any differently. So that's my testimony on parenting. I've grown up and yes, I have a strong opinion about parenting when people ask me about parenting and whether they should be in their child's life, whether they're step parents or biological parents. Oh yeah, you're going to get an earful from me.
Yeah. Very good, man. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's frontrunnerNewJersey.com. That's where you can find this wonderful online paper. I hate to call it a paper. What do we call it now?
Well, it's a digital newspaper, a digital magazine. You can call it both.
I miss picking up the newspaper, Clyde.
Well, and see, I've worked in newspapers for 25 years, and I tell you, things are so different.
I know.
And now I'm going to get into my newspaper spiel here, because being in the media, having that information, I always considered the media as kind of it's not a public profession like a police officer or someone in elected office, but we do have that responsibility. We have the same responsibility to work with the public and get the truth out and to get information out. So it's very important. And newspapers today are so strapped because the model that funded newspapers for a long time, advertising, has completely collapsed. And all of that has gone on the internet, and then the internet hasn't figured out a way to absorb it yet. So we're kind of in this wild west of the internet.
Yeah.
The great thing about the internet that people like me can go on and we can create our own websites. The bad thing about the internet is that people can get on and create their own websites who have no business creating a website and having people believe what they're writing. So
Yeah.
so I see somewhere along the line, and I think we're getting close to this now because you have a lot of fake news out there, and people are seeing the damage that it's causing. So I'm thinking somewhere along the line there's going to be some regulation or something along those lines that'll separate people who are really doing a good work from the people who are there just to sow discord in misinformation. So I think we're getting close to that line, but somewhere, but it's still pretty much the Wild West out there as far as news. And that's, and I do a whole session. I have a whole speech on fake news, particularly when it comes to us as African Americans, because there's a part of fake news that is specifically designed for us to keep us from voting, to keep us from doing positive things, to drive negative stereotypes about us. And we as a people have to be careful. We have to be able to discern what is news, what and what is good news, and how we can separate the fake news from the real news. We have to start learning that, because far too many times we fall into that trap of believing fake news or reacting to something that is fake news that gets us in trouble.
I think I'm going to have you on, man, to come back and have you on and let's talk about that, because I think that's important for everybody, Americans, everybody, Caucasians, Hispanic. I think we have to be able to decipher, read between the lines, and find out what's real and what's fake. And if you could come on and help me or do a show about that, man, that would be awesome, man.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to. Now, see, that is a whole show unto itself, because, man, there's a lot of fake news out there, and it is harming our society. It is harming our democracy, and we've got to straighten up and get smart about what's going on out there.
I don't know what's true anymore. I don't know what isn't. I don't. You can't believe any numbers or anything. Can't believe it. I can't believe a number on COVID-19. I don't know how many people have died, if they're still dying. I don't know if that's correct. I have no idea. I don't believe any of. I don't, any news that I watch or read. It's just hard to believe.
And Pastor, that's done by design. It's done by design to confuse us. It's done by design to cause us to doubt good sources and believe bad sources. But like I said, man, that's a whole nother show. You'll have me on for another 2 or 3 hours talking about that.
Let me ask you this. Before we wind it up. How would you encourage others? I wrote a book called Unstoppable. You know that because you helped me put it out there. How would you encourage others to be unstoppable in their own lives? I know you're unstoppable, so how would you encourage other people to be unstoppable when it comes in their own lives?
And I'm going to go back to chapter 1 in your book, and we were talking about this the other day, and I put that in my latest story about you and Unstoppable. And I think, and it's something I used to tell my daughter all the time, that you cannot control things around you. If someone wants to come in and do something stupid or something happens on the job, you absolutely cannot control those outside forces.
Right.
But I think your book addresses in chapter 1 so clearly, what you do have control over is how you react to it. And how you respond to certain things. You have complete control over what that, and we all know the thing that gets us in trouble is not the event itself, is us getting angry or doing something stupid because this happened to us, and all of a sudden a bad situation has become 3-4 times worse because we've reacted to it poorly.
Sure.
But if we learn to master the actual power that we have, no one can make you have a bad day. You may end up in bad situations, but you choose whether to have a good or bad day.
Sure.
And it's so empowering when you learn that skill, when you're able to absorb that fact, that law, that you have the power to what you call your domain, domain over your attitude, domain over your actions. Once you learn that you're always in control of that, regardless of what happens, and you embrace that, it's so powerful, and it gives you so much power over your life that it is truly life transforming.
Well, Clyde, thank you for your time, man. Thank you for coming on the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, man. Thank you for making this podcast so special. I know you got a million things to do, but the fact that you took the time out to come on the show, man, I'm honored. I'm humbled that you thought enough to come on out, man.
I would say I appreciate it. My girlfriend's waiting on me. She's ready to go to the beach herself.
Hold it longer. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? His girlfriend is waiting on him. Guys, you've been listening to the Ralph Graves Jr. Show. Again, thank you for being part of the show, you guys. Like, subscribe, share it with whoever you need to share it with, and keep on being unstoppable. And like I say, every week, I will see you at the top. Thanks, Clyde.